Hi everyone, welcome to this video. Today I thought we would look at COB snare drums, chrome over brass. And we're going to look at 3 snare drums today. And please stay tuned to the end of the video because I'm going to talk about the snares now. But at the end of the video I'll add in some video of me actually playing these with my drum kit. So you get a chance to have a listen to the 3 of them. What I've got here, first up, is a Ludwig. It's called the Super Series snare drum. And as I said, it's chrome over brass. It's a reissue drum. I think they were around in the 60s, maybe late 50s, super snare drums. They were actually around before they started making the very famous Supraphonic, which is chrome over aluminium. Before that they made these chrome over brass or nickel over brass back in those days. These days the actual shell is chrome, but the lugs and the hoops are actually nickel. So you may not be able to see that, but there is a color difference between the lugs and the hoops and the actual shell. So I don't know why they just didn't do it all nickel or all chrome. I have no idea why they did that, but I'm sure Ludwig had a reason for it. It was probably down to cost, I'm assuming. Anyway, this is a 5-inch super. Is it a 5 or 5.5? Let me have a look here. Yeah, I think it's a... Yep, I think it's a 5. Pretty sure it's a 5-inch. I always forget the depth of my snare drums. So anyway, chrome over brass snare drums are one of my favorite, well, out of metal snare drums, they are definitely my favorite types of snare drums. They often have a very wide tuning range. They sound good really anywhere you tune them. You tune them up high, they got a really good sort of funky sound to them. You tune them around middle, they just sound good playing really any style of music. Lower them down a little bit and you've got this really killer rock and roll type sound to them. They're just very versatile snare drums, and this one here, the Ludwig Super, it's my I suppose workhorse if I'm going touring or if I'm playing with bands that I've never played with before, like fill-in bands. I often will take this snare drum simply because I know if I turn up and I'm not getting the right sound, I know I can quickly retune this and get a sound that really suits what music that band is actually playing. So it's really handy for that. Chrome over brass snare drums too, as opposed to this raw brass or just, you know, brass with no coating over top. Brass tend to be really coarse in my ears, but when you put chrome over them or nickel over them, they tend to smooth out a little bit more, and I suppose they're not so aggressive once you do that, even though depending on how you tune these snare drums, they can sound really, you know, make really good rock snare drums. Most of the music I play these days is either jazz, jump blues, early soul, R&B styles of music, and this one here, the way it's tuned at the moment, really suits that sort of styling. But anyway, as I said earlier, stay tuned to the end of the video, and I'm going to add in some video of me playing each one of these snare drums on my drum kit, so you get a real sense of what they sound like. So anyway, this is the first one that I'm going to show you. It's a Ludwig Super, and it's a great snare drum. They're easy to find. They are current model, so I forget what I paid for it, but out of all of my snare drums, it was probably one of the most inexpensive. I think they were about 6, 7, 8, or probably about $800 Australian. So I think it was around that price. I really can't remember, but it was under $1,000, that's for sure. So that's that one. The next one I'd like to show you is a 6.5. And this is by a Japanese company called Canopus. Now, Canopus is one of my favorite snare drum builders on the planet. I really love the sound of their snare drums. I love how well they're built. They stay in tune like you wouldn't believe. You can smack this drum all day, every day for weeks and weeks, and go to retune it, and it's still perfectly in tune. It's just, they don't go out of tune, Canopus snare drums. It may have something to do with the washers they use. They put I think they're like a non-slip sort of washer. They have, I don't know if you can see that here, but there's one of these leather washers, then you've got the standard metal washer, and then you've got another one of the leather washers on the other side of it. And that seems to stop the tuning keys from moving, so it really does help it to stay in tune. This guy here is made, it's sort of like Canopus's version of a Ludwig Black Beauty, so it's black nickel over brass. It even has the baseball bat dampener on it, very similar to the Ludwig. This snare drum is so versatile, it's not funny. I've tuned it really low, I've tuned it high, I've tuned it everywhere in between. Regardless of where you tune it, it sounds really good. And like the Ludwig, it's a very good workhorse. Regardless of what I'm playing, I can tune it in a range where it really will suit almost any style of music that you want to play with a metal snare drum. Out of all of the metal snare drums that I own, I would say this is probably one of the ones that's the most versatile. It's really, really good. I can get almost a dry aluminium sound out of it. I can get a real great sort of fat rock sound out of it. You rim shot it, sounds killer. And once again, stay tuned to the end of the video and you'll hear a sound sample of this with my kit. So that's the Canopus 6.5 inch black nickel over brass. They call it the BB2 model. And it's a killer snare drum. The next one I'm going to show you is one of my vintage snare drums. And this is a Gene Krupa model Slingerland COB. And I love the sound of this. I love the sound of all Slingerland snare drums. This one in particular has a real depth to it. And I don't know what it is, but it's, you know, old wood or old metal drums, they just have a sound. They tend to sing better than a new snare drum. I don't know why, but they do. And this is no exception to that. This is one of my favorite snare drums that I own. It's I love playing jazz with this. I also love playing soul music with this snare drum. It's a good blues, Chicago-y, shuffly type blues snare drum. I've even played country on it. It sounds really good on almost anything. It's a little beauty. I think this was made around the early 60s from memory. I'm not 100% sure, but it is the Gene Krupa COB model, and it's you can often tell this one with the three little lines that run along the middle of the shell. That's often an indicator that this is one of these Gene Krupas. Again, chrome over brass, killer snare drum. So with these three snare drums, as I said, I'm going to stop talking soon and then cut to my drum kit, and I'll put each one of these on and play a little bit and see what you think of it. Do you own a brass snare drum, or do you own a chrome over brass, a COB? If not, I reckon you really should own one. Try and find one that suits you. Size wise, you know, you can get them 6.5, 8, 6, 5.5, 5. Personally, I prefer the thinner ones, 5.5 inch, but that's just a personal preference. Even in my wood snare drums, I prefer 5.5 inch snares. There's something about a thin snare drum, it does it for me. Anyway, on that note, people, as I said, I will go over to my drum kit and play so you can hear what these three COB snare drums sound like. Before I do that, but please, if you like my videos, please subscribe to my videos. Tell your drummer friends also to subscribe if you wouldn't mind. It really helps an old drummer out and to expand my channel. If you have a topic you would like me to talk about at some stage too, by all means leave a message below and I'll do my best to make a video on that at some stage in the future. On that note, people, take care of yourself, stay safe, be happy, get out there and play drums and show the world your talent. and we'll see you in the next video. And like I said, stay tuned, don't click off yet. I'm going to put some video of these snare drums being played on my kit at the end of this. On that note, people, have fun. Bye.